Hi, I'm Chef Tim Belanger. I am a part-time instructor and professor at George Brown College, also a food service consultant in the industry itself. I've been smoking meats and doing barbecue for probably the last 20 years. I actually used to own a restaurant called The Little Bistro in Carla and Queen and Carla area, Leslieville area. And that was back in the 89 to 94 time, and we actually had a smokehouse then. So again, I am very passionate about smoking meats and doing them properly. Today we are going to do a 10-hour process, basically to cook this wonderful brisket. And today, the brisket itself we are using today is a Canadian prime. That is the highest grade of product that you can get for grading in Canada. So again, we are using that today. I did pick it up, and we have a nice piece here, roughly around 10 to 15 pounds per brisket that you get. But first, we need to make a rub for this. So there's multiple steps to doing a proper brisket, and if you don't follow steps, yeah, you can get a good result, but you won't have an excellent result. So it's very important to understand that we do this with a proper rub. So first of all, we are going to start with a rub. You're going to need sugar, so organic cane sugar, brown sugar, because brown sugar melts at a different temperature. So it's going to give you almost like a molasses type of coating on your brisket itself, and that way there you get the burnt ends that you want. You have kosher salt that we are going to add, black pepper, and of course paprika, chili powder, cayenne pepper, lemon pepper, onion powder, garlic salt, and seasoning salt. Again, depending on what you like for rubs, it will all depend on what you put in here. Every rub is going to be different for the individual that is cooking briskets or ribs. And again, check out my YouTube video on the meat. Excuse me. Fall off the bone ribs. Okay, so I'm just going to mix all this up. Here we go. It's all mixed up. Again, smelling it smells wonderful. Now for the brisket itself, again, I have my brisket here. Again, sometimes people like to take the fat off and have a little bit less fat on there, but for myself, I am not going to worry about that. I kind of like the fat content on this because it keeps it nice and moist. So what I'm going to only do with this is I'm going to score the fat areas, so it kind of render down a little bit more on the product itself. So I'm going to go back and forth so that way there I can get some of my seasoning to penetrate on that. Again, I'm not going through the muscle itself. I'm going to season this outside with my rub because I don't want to make a mess in the house. Very important. Stay clean, wash your hands all the time. 20 seconds at least, soap and water, hot water. We are now outside, and you can see that I have the smoker going. It is quite hot right now, but I'm going to bring that temperature down. Once I put the product in there, it's going to lower the temperature. Today I'm using a combination of apple, wood, pecan, and also charcoal. But the trick to doing barbecuing is that you have to make sure that you have a proper fire going inside. So again, I do have my wood starting to kindle here. That's good. I want that, but I don't want to have direct heat on my product. So what I do is I use a diffuser, and this plate setter sits on here. Now, that's a little smoky. As you know, back in my video for the ribs, the fall off the bone ribs, we did mention that the ring, that red ring that you need for your product, comes from nitrates. So the nitrates itself, you need charcoal or wood, and you need water. That creates the nitrates in the smoke and gives you the red ring that you need on there. So what I'm going to do now is, I have that going. I'm going to now season one side generously. And you can see that's why I brought this outside, so that way there I can get that product into my brisket itself. Okay, don't be shy with the rub itself. Okay, you want to massage it in there. Okay, along the sides too. So now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to do the same on this side. Again, good amount of product on that. On both sides. Here, here, here. And again, got the fat content in here. And again, I'm going to push that into my brisket itself, so that way there I have a good amount of rub on that. You want that rub on there because it's going to give you the bark and burnt ends also from your sugars, and then that way there you have this ready to go. So I am going to be using an internal probe for this. But I won't put it in now. I'll put it in around the 5-hour mark. So the only thing left to do is now grab my grill, and I am going to put my product on the grill. There we go. And it's going on. Now, say bye-bye. We'll check that in 5 hours. We are currently at the 6-hour mark of our brisket. You can see the temperature is roughly around the 350. I like to be around the 350, 375 mark at this point. At this point also, you can see that I have stuck it in a probe, and you can see the temperature itself is at 177. So I put it in the thinnest part of the meat right now, because that way there I can take the temperature gauge there and then move it up over into the thicker part. Again, it's still another 2 to 4 hours left on this, and as I mentioned to our students all the time, to cook something, if you understand this one concept, time and temperature, you can cook anything perfectly. So again, this is not a fast process, it's a slow process, but it's well worth it. Okay, I talked about time and temperature early on. It's important to understand that I have now 2 probes in the meat. One probe is where it is quite thin, and the other probe is more in the thicker part of the brisket itself. So right now it's 186 and 187 in the different parts of the brisket, and I am almost there, ready to take it off. So I'm going to reach 190. Remember, with proteins and that, they'll be carryover heat, and it will continue to cook. I will wrap it up in plastic and then let the juices come back into the muscle itself, and I'll make it a lot moister. Again, the temperature is at 400 right now, and we'll take a picture shortly of the brisket coming out. You can see now the one temperature is at 190 and the other one's this at 189. I'm going to be taking that shortly off, but again, I do have my safety gloves, Hellfire barbecue safety gloves. These are quite good to use on barbecues, and that's, you can see that it takes quite the abuse with the heat in the fingertips. That was the plate setter that diffuses the heat. I had to pick that up and move it. So again, that is done. I'm going to now go into the kitchen, grab a tray, take some pictures, and wrap it up. I have the brisket inside the house now, and you can see that it is now on the tray itself. There's still a little bubbling there. Nice burnt ends. You want that. Gives a nice little texture and crispiness to it. Part of the bark itself. There is a little bit of fat up here that I'm going to trim away later on. But right now, what I want to do is I want to wrap this up. And this way here, this is going to help bring back the moisture that's in the mussel, that we can keep it in the mussel itself instead of going on our tray. So again, I'm going to wrap this up. It's going to continue to cook. It's going to stay moist. It'll start to stabilize inside as far as the juices and liquids go back into the mussel. Because if I cut this right away, what's going to happen is all that's going to go onto my tray itself, and I want to preserve that as much as possible. So I'm going to let this sit for at least half an hour to 40 minutes, and then I'm going to start to carve it up. The brisket has spent the last 30 minutes wrapped up. I put the tin foil, also the heat in, and I'm just going to put this over here because we're going to recycle this for our customers today. So I do have my brisket. You can feel it still nice and warm. The aromas are amazing. I'm just going to put this on this side, and I'm going to put the brisket on the board itself. I'm going to keep the tray off to the side here. You can see I do have over here a scale, and what I'm going to do is I pre-sold most of this. Half of it is for customers and half are for family. So we are going to make sure that we have that all divvied up for the different people. And I do have a scale here, and for some reason it's not working. I'm not sure that we turn it on. If not, I'll have to go to plan number 2. Here we go, it's coming on. And it's at 0 grams right now. I'm going to put this plate on there so that will keep product on there and keep moisture on there. So today I have a couple of orders. I have 2 orders for 2 pounds, one order for half a pound. Normally I would slice these up into proper slices, but since they are going to be using this for their dinner, perhaps they want to slice up a little differently, so I'm just going to give them pieces of the brisket itself. So first thing, I'm going to now cut this in half. So I have right here my brisket itself. You can see, look at the moisture, look at the tenderness, unbelievable. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to put this on the scale. So roughly 450 grams is for, so we have roughly around 768, so just under 2 pounds. I'm just going to put this here. I'm going to have a look at this one here to see exactly how much weight we have on that. 655. So that's telling me that I need another roughly around 245 to make that. Okay, so Easy to do with that one there. I'm going to put some plastic down on my tray itself. Lots of juice coming from that. I have a little paper towel here, and I'm going to now put some extra plastic down here so that way there I can wrap this up. So again, we're looking at 2 pounds, and we are going to now take another little section over here and we're going to see exactly how much this weighs here. Nice. Okay, so you can see the moisture, the bark on this. And 750, so again, I'm going to now take this, I want to be roughly around 900. One customer is actually, we're going to give them a little bit more due to the fact that they actually went out to the grocery store today and got us some extra supplies. So this one here is going to be for that one customer. So simply, I want to keep the moisture in. We have lots of moisture on that, so I'm just going to wrap this up and put it off the side. But the one thing that I didn't do was I didn't try it out. So I'm going to slice this. And here we go. So you can see right here, there is a smoke ring. That's what that pink is. The burnt ends are good. So again, I'm just going to go like this. Take that apart, and wow, that's so good. It's moist, good seasoning on the outside, and the fats and everything else are going to be covering that off really well. So again, I'm going to end the video here. My name is Chef Tim Belanger, and happy cooking.